friend better stay here, because we're going to go see some people of mine. And they don't like strange dudes. They don't fuck around.
Good. Hello, my fellow stinky visitor here in hell. This piece is entitled, Trying to Help You Recognize and Realize Where You Are. It was written and copyright 2026 by Alexander T. Newport. Let us begin by counting down. 3, 2, 1.
The enemy is aging and disease leading to death. That's what I do, is fight that enemy all day, every day.
Says the man who apparently does not have even a molecule or quark of a clue that he lives in hell. The entire 5-hour discussion is about the heinous, atrocious horrors of man's inhumanity to man via allopathic medicine, whose foundation is the refuted germ theory. It's about a world that is obviously dangerous and hazardous and intentionally deceptive. And Merrill Holly sincerely believes it is virtuous to try and increase people's lifespans in this obvious living hell. It's hilariously insane. It is yet another example of the insidious, tricky nature of this hell. People just can't admit it, even though what they talk about depicts a perfect description of a hell. It sure the fuck ain't paradise or heaven, is it? Where else but in hell would your fellow creatures trick the beautiful soul known as Freddie Mercury, a strong, robust, clean-living man, into consuming AZT and then withering away like a poisoned weed for the next 4 years? He died, quite possibly, believing he was being punished by God for being homosexual. He must have died 1,000 deaths over those 4 years, bouncing up and down with test results. Good news! The count is lower than last time. And, oh, the numbers are a bit higher than we were expecting. We'll increase the dose. I know I, Alexander T. Newport, come off like some fucking crank harping about this mortal life being an actual hell, but I'm not trying to bring you down or scare you. I am trying to help you recognize and realize where you are so you can have a bit of relief from the sense of futility in trying to fix this obviously unnatural and wrong world. From the sense of futility in trying to have a heavenly life in a world that is obviously not heaven. It was clearly created to be an inversion of our home, the place we return to automatically upon so-called death, the place that is our eternal reality of never-changing spiritual sanity and sobriety. You've grown up in a prison where the majority of the population believe it was once a Disneyland that somehow became corrupted, and all it needs now is a few declarations of truthful revelations, and it will be Disneyland once again. When you realize this is actually an intentionally designed nightmare version of our eternal heavenly home, you chalk up everything bad to, this is par for the course in hell. It's not a mistake. Something did not go wrong in heaven. This world is supposed to be mysterious and tricky, and everything you personally call bad, mad, and sad. When you stop denying this is hell, there opens up the potential and possibility of you gradually ceasing to be terribly surprised by the wrong and bad things you become aware of. There opens up the possibility of de-stinging what upsets and hurts you by acknowledging such things would of course be natural in hell, and therefore you are not insane for being upset or hurt by them because they are so fucking unnatural. But what is absolutely insane is saying those things shouldn't be here when clearly they were predetermined to unfold and unfurl exactly the way they do. What you haven't yet realized is you actually react and behave to the bad, mad, and sad things as if you were still in heaven, where, of course, those things never, ever, ever happen. And so that's why it's so bewildering and shocking and painful when they happen here. Here in this world, where we have this thing called death hanging over our heads. That, too, is totally odd and unreal. We ain't used to living our eternal lives with that spooky shit hovering menacingly over our heads, that spooky shadow that promises to consume us, but we don't know when, or where, or how it is going to happen. You don't lose your humanity by admitting we live in hell. If anything, you regain it by acknowledging nobody can help or stop being who they are. Their mortal lives are a scripted ride, and biography they cannot control. They can only do what occurs to them within themselves, and that's why they cannot listen to your logic and reason about how allopathic medicine is hazardous quackery and best to be avoided at all costs. All you can do is surrender to the futility and watch them die deaths that are essentially deaths by poisons. And yet, we all die by something or another. I simply despise the idea of dying slowly. I'd rather die in an exploding aircraft at 37,000 feet or be sitting on the toilet when an aircraft crashes into my house. The reality, I'll probably die choking on peanut butter, or from tripping over a cat or dog and falling down the stairs, or slipping in the bathtub, or from doing a swan dive off the summit of Beachy Head. I found Merrill Holly's comment about wanting to prolong life here in hell truly hilarious. It's exactly like someone fighting to increase every prisoner's sentence, and they all cheer him on. He obviously has never figured out he was alive before playing this character named Merrill Holly, and will be alive after so-called death. It would appear he reckons this is the only conscious existence he has ever experienced, and will never experience being conscious ever again after so-called death. That explains why he wants us to live here forever. He's a strict materialist, it would appear, and so be it. I don't begrudge the character he is portraying. He, like the rest of us, is playing it to the hilt, and it ain't over until it's over, until the final curtain. Fight the good fight if that's your biography. Fight the good fight knowing the good will never permanently triumph over the bad here in hell. It wouldn't be hell if the good guys won most of the time. They can only win some of the time. And yes, it's true, we have more good people than bad, but most of those good people are sheeple zombies who blindly follow the herd. They blindly trust the so-called authorities and experts about medical science and toxicology and health and illness. They believe the authorities who tell them mankind possess bombs he doesn't actually possess. They have good hearts, but they also have the destinies of victims. Victims of psyops and propaganda and fraudulent so-called scientific discoveries. All of it par for the course in a temporary prison sentence nightmare. Hell, par for the course in hell. Par for the course in hell.
Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
I'm annihilated, you know?